I can't wait to get started on making my favorite bacon treats. I have my mom's Devil's on Horseback, which is a really classic appetizer, and then I have my favorite, pig candy. Both are super simple to make and very delicious. First up, pig candy. 3 ingredients, barely any time, and delicious results. All I have here is my bacon, some cayenne pepper for a little bit of heat, and brown sugar for that delicious, almost mapley sugar taste. So first thing, I'm gonna add my cayenne pepper to my brown sugar. And this is totally personal taste here. I love spicy, especially with something like this little snack. So I'm just gonna mix these together. Well, that looks great. So now I'm gonna get started on my bacon. And I have a baking sheet here covered in aluminum foil, and it has a cooling rack in it. And the idea here is less mess. This makes a big mess if you just put it right in. So I like the aluminum foil because all I have to do is crumble my mess and it's gone. And then the cooling rack acts as a way to elevate the bacon so it doesn't cook in its own fat. So you get a flatter, straighter bacon, and it's much cleaner. So I'm gonna lay my bacon horizontally across my cooling rack. And the idea here is it's not gonna slip through any of the cracks. And this bacon shrinks up really easily. So this entire cooling rack is good for maybe 4 people as a really great party snack. Now I'm going to sprinkle my sugar mixture onto my bacon. And I'm going to be using a lot because it melts off, a lot of it just falls off the bacon. So go ahead and be really generous. So now I'm going to press down my sugar just to make sure it's nice and stuck to the bacon. I'm gonna pop this in the oven, and you'll notice I saved half of my sugar mixture because I'm gonna flip my bacon once it's partially cooked and add a little bit more before it's done. So while my pig candy is baking in the oven, I'm gonna get started on my mom's favorite bacon treat, my version of Devil's on Horseback. Now, I say my version because unlike the traditional Devil's on Horseback, which is a date stuffed with an almond wrapped in bacon, I like to switch out the almond for goat cheese. It just has this really great, bright, almost herbaceous, creamy note that is dynamite with dates and bacon. Another great switch up, if you like blue cheese, add blue cheese instead of goat cheese. So to start, I have my dates, and I'm using pitted medjool dates. You can use any date you can find, but I love medjools because they're really large and they have a lovely, almost burnt caramel flavor. So I can fit all of the goat cheese in there really easily. I pulled the pit out, so now there's a little cavity where I can put the goat cheese in. So I'm gonna break off a little nub of goat cheese, not very large, surprisingly not much gets in there. I just roll it up just good enough so it can fit through the hole, and it's gonna be a little messy, but I'm basically just gonna push it in with my fingers. And you don't wanna overstuff your dates. There's just enough goat cheese in here, and if you overstuff it, it'll burst while you're baking, which makes a huge mess, and it doesn't really taste that great. Well, time to wrap these in bacon. And I took half or even a third of a slice of bacon because if you overwrap it, it actually won't cook through. So you just roll them up like so, just like that, and pierce them with a toothpick to hold everything together. Voila! These recipes are a great use of high quality bacon like the kind I got at Huntington Meats. The reason is there's so few ingredients and bacon really is the star, so if you're using good bacon, you can taste that it's good bacon. And these decadent treats are a great way to have portion control with your bacon because you're not gonna eat that much bacon when you're eating them along with dates and goat cheese or with sugar sprinkled on top. So instead of eating 3 or 4 slices of bacon, you're really only gonna end up eating about 1.
Before I move on, it's time to pull the pig candy out of the oven. I've already flipped the bacon and put my sugar and cayenne pepper mixture on the other side. So this looks ready to go.
So my pig candy is out of the oven and cooling, and now I'm gonna get my Devil's on Horsebacks in the oven. It's really simple. You're just gonna lay them out on a baking pan covered in aluminum foil and with a cooling rack on top. It's the same idea as with the pig candy. It means a lot less mess, and when you have bacon fat and sugars and things like that, it just gets caramelized and is really hard to get off of a baking sheet. So aluminum foil is a really good idea. Great, well these look ready to go. I'm gonna pop them in the oven until the bacon is perfectly cooked, and I can't wait to eat them.
It's been about 20 minutes and the bacon is cooked all the way through. These smell amazing, but first they have to cool.
So my Devil's on Horseback are out of the oven and I have everything set to plate. So first, I'm going to snip my pig candy into bite-sized pieces. And when I say I'm going to snip my pig candy, I mean it. I'm using scissors and snipping it into tiny pieces. And you want to let your pig candy cool, because then it'll become nice and stiff and it'll be really easy to snip up. If it's straight from the oven, it'll be a little too warm and kind of hard to break up. I'm using scissors instead of a knife because this way I don't have to press one side of the pig candy into it and then lose all the great sugar on one side. Also, it's just way easier. So I like to snip them to just about 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch pieces, just big enough for you to have a little nibble. The great thing about these little bites is you can double, you can triple the recipe if you're making them for a big party, because these are just meant to be little snacks. They're just 1 or 2 bites at most, and they're great to have when you're hosting friends. And I mean, who doesn't want candied bacon? It's candied bacon. So these look great. I'm just gonna finish it with a little sprinkling of brown sugar and some cayenne pepper for a bit of color. Just a pinch, because this is hot stuff. So now I'm gonna give it a taste to make sure it's perfect for my sister Amanda, who's coming over. Oh my goodness, this is so tasty. So these definitely pass the taste test, and I'm going to set my Devils on Horseback onto my plate. And I like to leave the toothpicks in because it means no greasy fingers, and you also want to make sure they're room temperature or a little above room temperature. Otherwise, it's really molten in the center and you can get some burnt mouths, which is no fun. And because these are meat, you want to make sure they're consumed immediately, but I don't think that'll be a problem.